with iPhone and Chris's iPad, if you all will change your name to your first and last name, that will help as soon as we do the calendar call. Thank you.
Ma'am, how do I do that?
Okay, hold on. What's your first and last name for me? Let me see if I can do it for you quicker.
Chris Gray.
Chris Gray.
Yes, ma'am. Gray.
Okay, I was gonna ask that. There we go. And the gentleman with the locks and the iPhone, unmute for me. Okay, so you see the little microphone, the thing that looks like a little microphone? If you touch that, you should be able to unmute. All right, hold on a second. I'm gonna let you figure that out for a minute, okay? And I'll be right back.
Oh, I see. Hey, there we go. I got it. I got it. I'm
What's
sorry.
your last name? I mean, what's your first and last name, sir?
Oh, Daniel Preston.
Daniel Preston.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Preston, that should change it. There you go. All right, 1 second. right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the arraignment calendar and the jail calendar for July 23rd of 2024. I'm Judge Tammy Long Hayward, and I'm going to call the arraignment calendar first. First name on the calendar is Robert Bell the fourth. My understanding is that Mr. Bell was considering his options with respect to the three cases on the calendar. Anybody? All right, what's up, Ms. Hahn? We going to trial or we having a plea today?
Your Honor,
That sounds like we're going to trial.
yes, I believe so, Your Honor. I'm on the
All
phone.
right, so I don't need a lot of words. I'm gonna maintain his not guilty. He'll be on the next trial calendar.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Davius O'Neill Grant. Davius O'Neill Grant. The defendant, per my notes, scheduled this. Anyone see Mr. Grant in the courtroom?
Your Honor, state request for a bench warrant if the defendant is not here.
Bench warrant will be granted. Christopher Dwayne Gray. Mr. Gray is present. Mr. Gray, you are before the court for improper passing, invalid registration, and no tag or expired or invalid tag. Third, did you wish to have an attorney represent you? Did you wish to speak with the state and represent yourself? What did you wish to do with your charges today, sir?
Ma'am, I wish to probably speak with the state because I had all of those things were valid at the time and they let me go home.
Okay, so Mr. Gray, if you would just turn on your video for me. Okay, now I just see a black line. So maybe something on your computer, like I have a cover on my camera. There you go. So Mr. Gray,
Okay.
are you over 21?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in a moment, I'm going to put you in a breakout room with the state so you all can talk about your case. If you have any documents that are responsive to any of these charges, make sure that you get those together before I put you in the breakout room, okay?
Okay, I'll try to do that.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Nathaniel Preston. Mr. Preston.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. You're represented by Lister Holton Dennis, Ms. Hahn, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, ma'am.
1 second, your attorneys are coming up.
Hello?
Hold on a second, Mr. Preston.
I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Taylor?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Your Honor,
Mr.
Ms. Hahn
Yes.
is representing Mr.
All right, where'd Ms. Hahn go?
She is on the telephone with Mr. Bell still.
Nope, we wasted enough time with Mr. Bell. He had an opportunity to come here and take pleas today. If not, he's not gonna waste my court time.
Certainly, Your Honor, I will.
All right, tell Ms. Hahn she has other cases.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Preston, we'll be right back.
right.
Joshua Christopher Reynolds.
Your Honor, the
Josh?
state requests a bench warrant. Oh, is he? Okay.
Oh, well, this is he present in the court? Oh, there's
I
Mr.
see him
Reynolds.
now, yes.
Mr. Reynolds, you have a Lister Holton Dennis representing you, so I'm waiting for the attorneys to come back in the courtroom. Yeah, Ms. Hahn, Mr. Bell didn't get to take up any more of my court time. You have other clients and he's wasted enough of my time. If he wants to go to trial, we go. All right, so Joshua Christopher Reynolds.
Your Honor, we haven't been in touch with Mr. Reynolds. If we could give a moment to try to reach him.
Bench warrant, bond forfeiture. If you reach him, that's fine. We'll talk about it then. All right, Kanye Brian Taga. Mr. Florio. Hey,
Good
Mr.
morning,
Florio.
Judge.
Mr.
Reynolds isn't Reynolds on? I saw
Yeah,
him
he
on the
is.
camera.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Thanks, Miss Val. Mr. Reynolds, I'm sorry. My apologies. Yeah, Miss Hahn, he is on. Mr. Reynolds, Miss Hahn, I don't think has your phone number. What I need you to do, not Mr. Bell, I don't have time. What I need you to do, Mr. Reynolds, if you hear me, is go to the chat function and chat your phone number to Ms. Hahn in the courtroom so she can talk to you. So go to the chat function. It's that little box that looks like a cartoon box. Click on that, and then when it comes up, when it says everyone, don't send everyone your phone number. Send it to the courtroom. Go down the list and you see courtroom 304. And then click on there and send Ms. Hahn your phone number. Okay, thank you. All right, so Mr. Florio for Mr. Taga.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Judge, Mr. Taga is already in bench warrant status. We accidentally missed Your Honor's arraignment calendar a couple of months ago. And so I filed a waiver of arraignment, and Madam Clerk was kind enough to put us on the calendar this morning to address the pending bench warrant.
Okay. Is he present?
He's not, Judge. He's being held without bond in the Henry County Jail right now on multiple felony aggravated assault and fleeing and attempting to elude charges.
Okay, so Mr. Florio, I will take back the forfeiture, but we do usually keep the bench warrant because if something happens and you don't get notice that he's being let out, they will know that we still have a hold.
Yes, Your Honor. The only thing I can say is as to the bench warrant, I don't think he ever, because he was out on the street at the time that he missed arraignment. I don't think he received his notice of arraignment previously, but obviously he is unavailable for court this morning and candidly will probably be unavailable for the distant future based off of the allegations in Henry.
Okay, so we can, Ms. Val, we can kind of put Mr. Taga's case on a slight abeyance because he's going to be in Henry for a minute. I'm willing to, like I said, I'm willing to go ahead and not have a forfeiture of bond, but I do want to keep the bench warrant so that when Henry is finished with him eventually, then we'll at least know, even if he gets prison time, they will know that we have a pending case and we can even work that out if he gets, sent ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
All
Thank
right.
you. I appreciate that.
Sir.
Yes, ma'am.
All
That
right.
concludes my business. May I please be excused?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
Have a good day.
Back to Mr. Gray wants to talk to the state. Mr. Preston, Ms. Hahn, do you have an announcement for Daniel Nathaniel Preston?
No, Your Honor, I believe I need a recommendation from the state.
Okay, ma'am, if you will give her a recommendation for Mr. Preston. Do you have information for Mr. Reynolds? Mr. Reynolds is on the call.
Your Honor, myself or Mr. Taylor will give him a call.
Okay, all right, so it concludes the call of the arraignment calendar. So I'm going to go forward. Mr. Bell is going to trial, so he'll be on the next available jury trial calendar. Those are the first three cases. Mr. Grant, Davius O'Neill Grant, that bench warrant. Mr. Gray is going to be put into a breakout room with the state. Mr. Preston and Mr. Reynolds are awaiting information from Mr. Preston is awaiting information from the state. Mr. Reynolds is awaiting a conference with the attorneys, and Mr. Taga's case, that's going to be a bench warrant, but not a bond forfeiture. All right, so before we go to the jail cases, let me go ahead and put Mr. Preston into the breakout room. Not Mr. Preston, Mr. Gray into the breakout room so we can see if that case can be resolved before we move on to the jail calendar. All right, Ms. Hagler and Mr. Gray are going to be in breakout room number 1. All right, Mr. Gray, you'll see the invitation pop up on your screen. Touch your screen. If you have trouble getting back, you should be able to touch your screen and it'll say exit or return to main room. Okay. All right. All right.
Hey, excuse me, Mr.
Yes, Mr.
Hey,
Reynolds.
my name is Mr. Reynolds. I'm Joshua Reynolds' father.
Okay.
Is is it possible for us to be in a breakout room with the lawyer or someone?
How old is Joshua?
Well, he's 19 now.
Well, he's grown, Mr. Reynolds, so,
Yeah,
no.
that's still my child.
I know I have kids too, but you know, when they get of an age, they become adults. And so attorney-client privilege sometimes prevents even the mamas and the daddies from sitting in on stuff. So what I would advise is just give me a minute. Is he? Yeah, let's let his attorneys work on this case unless you have something that you need to tell them. You would need to speak with them as a witness. I'm fine with that. You can talk to
Yeah,
them.
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So Mr. Taylor or Ms. Hahn, Mr. Reynolds, the father of Mr. Reynolds is on and wishes to have a breakout room with one of y'all. If y'all are fine with that, I'm fine with it. Or Mr. Reynolds, what would be easier if you just sent them your phone number through the chat function, and then that way your call would be private.
Yes, Your
You
Honor.
gotta do that.
Okay, okay.
So what you
Send it.
do is, yeah, send it through the chat, send it to the courtroom, not to everyone. So when you see the blue sign, blue background that says everyone, click on that, go down a few spaces and you'll see courtroom 304, click on that, and then type your name and phone number into the chat and they'll get it in the courtroom. And Mr. Taylor is standing right there.
Okay, thank you.
All right, now, Mr. Reynolds, let me just tell you something. I don't know what you know about me, but I'm not for coddling grown people. If we raise them right, once they hit 18, 19, 20, and they start making these decisions, sometimes they have to suffer the consequences. So they'll realize that there's some responsibilities that go with their actions.
Yes, ma'am. I understand, but you know,
I'm
this
just,
situation
no, but
is not.
I'm just saying,
I
and then
understand.
the second thing is sometimes that person ain't right for you and it's time to walk away. Those are
Absolutely.
my two rules. All right, then.
Yes,
Just send me
ma'am.
your phone number. They'll talk to you.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
All right, we'll be back in a moment.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Hahn and Mr. Taylor, the state is still speaking with Mr. Gray, Ms. Hagler. Do you all have anything to announce on Preston and Reynolds? You gotta unmute, ma'am. I think he's still muted.
Sorry, Your Honor. I was saying not yet on Preston. Mr. Taylor is back. Did you have an announcement?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Your Honor, I had a
Yes.
opportunity to speak with Mr. Reynolds, and we're considering the not guilty today on his charge.
Okay. All right. Where's Mr. Reynolds? Mr. Joshua Reynolds, I need to see you.
Yes, ma'am, I'm right here.
Okay. Pull your camera down. I need to look you in the face. All right. So, Mr. Reynolds, you have bond conditions. Listen very carefully because I did a whole calendar of bond revocations yesterday where I snatched people's bonds because of what they did. So listen to me carefully. I'm only going to say this to you once. You have bond conditions. If you don't have the paperwork that you received at first appearance, go to the clerk's office in the Clayton County Magistrate Court, ask for your bond paperwork from your case, and then get a copy of your bond conditions. Your bond conditions will tell you who you are not to have any contact with. And when I say no contact, I mean, I don't care if you got kids with them. I don't care if you work with them. You're to have no contact, not through social media, not through phone, text. You can't call their job. You can't talk to any of their immediate family members. You can't send messages through third parties. You can't tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody to talk to them. Do you understand me?
Yes.
If there's an address listed on there that you cannot go to, if you go to that address, you will be arrested and your bond will be revoked. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, what happens in a bond revocation? If you violate any of your bond conditions, then you could be arrested. Your bond can be revoked and you'll stay in jail until your case is resolved. You could be charged with the felony of aggravated stalking, which is punishable by up to 10 years in prison, a $10,000 fine, or both. Or you could be charged with the misdemeanor of violating a court order, or all three of those things could happen. Do you understand me?
Yes.
All right. Because there's a man right now, there's a warrant out for his arrest right now for some foolishness because he didn't believe me and he went back to the same person's house and he had another altercation at the same location. And so he's going to be picked up on a warrant and he's going to sit in jail until his case is resolved. And there still exists the possibility that he's going to be charged with the felony of aggravated stalking. Do you understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now that we're clear, you're going to keep in touch with your attorneys. If anything changes about your address, your contact information, your email, your phone number, you make sure you tell your attorneys first, and they're going to direct you as to how to update the court. The only way you get notice is from us. And so if we don't have a good address for you, then we're going to send it to the last one we have, and you might get a bench warrant. Are we clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Ms. Hahn.
Sorry, Your Honor, I was trying to unmute. Mr. Preston's phone number that I have is going, it's saying busy.
He's on the phone on his video.
Right,
So do y'all need a breakout room?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, hold on. Mr. Preston, I'm gonna put you in a breakout room with Ms. Hahn. When you see the invitation pop up on your screen, touch it. That's also how you're gonna get back to the main room, okay?
All right.
All right. All right, Mr. Preston and courtroom 304 will be in in room number 3, breakout room number 3. All right. All right, Mr. Reynolds, you're free to go. Okay. Mr. Jamal Reynolds, y'all are free to go. Your son is entering a plea of not guilty. We'll see him at his next court appearance.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, and please remind him of what I said about those bond conditions. I am not playing about that.
Oh, I absolutely will. I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm at work.
Make sure he gets a copy of them.
Okay, I will.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, when the individual come out of the breakout rooms, then we'll have some announcements and we'll be able to move forward. All right. Thank you, Ms. Wright. Is it you know the date that was missed? Because if we resolve it today, we'll do a set aside.
I'll get that information for you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Judge, I have that information for you.
Ma'am, what you got?
It was issued on April 1st of this year.
All righty. All right, and it's for this case?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so once he talks to the state, then we'll get rid of that. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
You are quite welcome.
All righty.
Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
If I can have some more time to speak to Mr. Preston while we move forward with the jail calendar, I'll also need to speak with the solicitor. Is it Heigler?
Hagler.
Hagler.
Hagler. Mhm.
I'll need to speak with ASG Hagler as well.
All right, Ms. Hagler, did we have anything on Gray?
Yes, ma'am. That's gonna be a not guilty jury trial. And also the notes on my calendar does say that he has an active bench warrant. So since he is here today, the state will be requesting we can recall that bench warrant.
Yes, ma'am. If you just send me a bench warrant set aside, I'll sign it.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
so
Thank you.
he has invalid passing, invalid registration, and no tag, and he wants a jury trial.
Oh, I thought you were asking about Gray. I'm sorry. Oh,
That's
yes.
what I have for Gray.
Yes. Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Does he have Mr. Gray, do you have an attorney? Do you plan to get an attorney? Is he back? Yeah, he is. Mr. Gray? You gotta unmute for me.
Okay.
There you go.
Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
So,
So-
Mr.
When I spoke to the state, it was just for the insurance and the registration, the tag and the registration or something like that. And I do have proof of all of that. So I'm trying to contact. I was actually trying to find it in my email to send it over to Miss I forget her. I'm sorry, I forget her last name.
Hagler.
Miss Hagler. But it's hard for me to find. So I'm gonna be contacting Liberty Mutual today, like soon as while we doing this to get those documents sent over.
Okay, let me ask you a question. So you have an option of having a bench trial or a jury trial. A jury trial is going to take longer, and you mainly have document charges. If you just need more time to find your charges, I can either continue to another, to find your documents. I can continue you to another calendar, or I can give you a bench trial. You'll have a trial before me. I'll explain everything. If you want to bring an attorney to assist you, that's fine, but you don't have to. And then you can present whatever documents you have at that time if you wish to do that. But if it's just that you need time to find your documents, you don't have to do a jury trial for that.
Yes, ma'am. I just need time to find the documents.
Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to do the bench warrant set aside. What I'm going to ask you to do is just make sure that you change your address with the state clerk's office. That's at 9151 Terra Boulevard.
Okay.
And when you come in, you're going to go to the first floor to the state court clerk's office and go ahead and change your address so you get notices, okay?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
All right, because you don't have an attorney, otherwise the attorney would get notice, but because you don't have an attorney yet, then they're gonna send it to you. And the way that you probably missed the last court date is because your address has not been updated.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so do that as soon as you can. And I'm gonna go ahead and put that we're gonna put you on for a bench trial. And if on the date of the bench trial, you have all your documents and everything, you can still talk to the state and we can talk about it then.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, no problem. And we do the bench trial still by video.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Do you have any questions for me?
No, ma'am.
Okay, be safe. And if you are concerned about points, you may want to contact the Department of Driver Services and see if you have any already, or see if you have a NOLO available to you, because a NOLO will help you avoid points on your license. So, and the only one of these I think that might get you points is the improper passing. So you may just want to check and see how many points you have, and if NOLO available to you, because you can only use those once every 5 years.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
All right. Take care. Be safe, sir.
All right. Thank you.
And I'm going to sign that bench warrant set aside as soon as I get it electronically.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hagler. All right. So now the jail calendar, the first publications on the jail calendar are petitions. Quentin Allen Bonds is a petition. Lister Holton Dennis, have you spoken to Bonds?
Your Your Honor, he's not in custody at
He
this
bonded
time.
out
It
on
looks
the
like he bonded out on the 18th, which is unique on a PO violation.
Well, how did he bond out? There's no bond on a, what?
Your Honor, that's what Mr. Taylor was able to find out, is that he,
Deputy, can you track down bonds and tell classifications if they let him out and he had a pending, a violation of probation, then they need to get it back. If they need to call me or Miss Val, they can.
tell them that they shouldn't let him out, and so we'll call him as well.
He was taken in when he like, and he bonded out for inmates for
I don't have the LE number, but I'll give you case number. Your Honor, we are ready on Canis and.
Okay, what's going on about bonds? So did the deputy hear me?
She did. She's looking
Okay.
into it right now, Your Honor.
All right, and tell her if he's out, then they need to go pick him up because my warrant has not expired. All right, so Canis, what's going on with Miss Canis? She's back
Yes,
for
Your Honor.
a petition.
She's going to agree to the technical violation.
All right. All right, Kyle, so is it easier to go ahead and do her now? Do we have a lot of females?
Your Honor, we have two ladies, so we can do them first.
Okay, so go ahead and bring out Miss Canis.
And Deputy Willis is going to get her.
Okay. All right, Ms. Canis, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true. All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on petition for revocation of probation. You were before this court on the case 2022 CR 07741 for simple battery on the 19th day of December 2023. You were sentenced to 12 months on probation. You have 6 months and 21 days remaining. Your probation was told. It says that you failed to report on February 15th, March 15th, April 10th, April 17th, and within 10 days of April 18th, 2024. Your last report to probation was on February 17th, 2024 by mail. You failed to comply with counseling. You did not show proof of enrolling in an anger management program. You failed to attend AA and NA meetings, one per week, and show proof of that. And you failed to pay. You're currently $265 in arrears. It is my understanding that through your attorney, you decided to stipulate and agree to the violations present.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Chang, what is the probation office recommending in Ms. Canis's case?
Good morning, Your Honor. Probation recommends that 30 days be revoked and thereafter close the case.
All right. Ms. Han?
Your Honor, Ms. Canis let me know that she did complete, or she's been going to AA, and then she did complete anger management, but failed to reach out to Ms. Chang. She said she forgot to email her. She's been struggling with housing, not in the sense that she's not had a roof over her head at all, but she was staying at an Airbnb, but now she has stable housing. When she got picked up for this, though, Your Honor, she spent 20 days, she says, in the Cherokee County Jail. So, Your Honor, we're asking that she get credit for those days as well.
No.
Nevertheless, Your Honor, we ask that you accept the state's recommendation.
Ms. Canis, the reason you were on probation is because I was giving you the opportunity to be out there, and the only thing you had to do was check in, like literally check in. Like literally tell Miss Chang, hey, I'm experiencing some difficulties right now. I can't get to this or that. I'm having some housing issues. Literally check in. And then I made it even easier for you by phone or mail. How old are you, ma'am?
25.
Okay, Miss Candace, when do you plan to get your life together? Because you're 25 today, you'll be 40 tomorrow. Trust me, it goes so fast. You laugh, but I sit here thinking I'm 23 every time I put my feet on the floor. But then when those bones start hurting, I realize my real age. It goes fast. And so, how long you gonna keep playing with the system?
And I mean, I don't plan on fighting with the system.
Well, what you doing? Because the only thing I asked you was to check in, and I say because I say it to everybody, the quickest way to get rearrested is to fail to report. You couldn't stop by a post office. You couldn't get any mail done. You couldn't check in by phone. You went all of this time without checking in. What's going on? Tell me the real problem.
Like I said, I was unstable.
You what?
That I was unstable and I just got stable.
Okay. How did you get stable? What was the magic thing that worked for you?
No, my friend let me move in.
Okay. So you got somebody who has allowed you to move in.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be the kind of person that they're gonna allow to stay, or are you gonna get kicked out because you're not honoring the choice they made to allow you to move in?
I'm planning on staying there and continue to work
Where you working?
at Snatchology, a repo.
Okay. You out there repoing, or you in the office?
I'm in the office.
Okay. Oh, that's right up the street. You worked right up the street and you couldn't report for probation? We could walk to them from here. Ma'am?
I mean,
Yeah, you're not getting them 20 days of credit. You call Snapology and tell them you'll be back once you do these 30 days. Because that was too easy. Literally, you can walk to there from here.
I don't go.
You don't what? You don't what?
I was just gonna say, it's not, I don't go to the office there. I'm mostly.
So you work remote?
Yes, actually.
And you couldn't call, so you're obviously using a phone and a computer to work, but you couldn't call Miss Chang to check in.
No, my phone is broken. Okay.
Miss Candace, what you're not going to do is continue to make excuses for yourself. Get your life together. Get your life together, Miss Candace. Get your life together. 25 years old, get your life together. What you waiting on? Because this behavior is, I mean, you're acting like somebody who can't think their way through things. And I'm no different. So you need to get your life together. This is not a good look for you. It's not. All right. So I'm going to give you 30 days to serve, after which the case will be suspended and then eventually closed. You still have the same condition not to have any contact with the person who is on the who is on your sentence for you to not have contact with. I'm going to fill out this form.
And Your Honor, does she get credit for the days that she's been in Clayton, though?
Yeah, I'll give her that.
Thank you.
All right, so I sent that.
Thank you, Your Honor. Is she free to go back with the deputy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Chang. All right, Ms. Chang, I guess Bonds is out of jail. I don't know how that happened. Since I have an active arrest warrant and I hadn't addressed the case, but I'll address that with the sheriff.
Your Honor,
Yes.
Deputy Willis is on the phone right now asking them why or how he got out. So I believe it's because he got new charges and the VOP wasn't holding him at all.
The reason for the.
Why wasn't it holding him?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
They may not have filed the VOP at the time.
Yeah.
The 18th.
They're gonna miss right and let a murderer out fooling around, not tracking what they need to track.
So, Your Honor, looking at
Yes.
the petition for revocation, one of the conditions that Mr. Bonds is accused of violating is committing a new criminal act. That new criminal act was traffic violations that occurred on July 14th. What I believe happened was that he was issued a bond on those new traffic violations and bonded out on July 18th. That's the date I'm showing when I look up on the county website that he was released from custody. So I don't know when Ms. Chang filed for the revocation of probation.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah, that's what.
It may have occurred after Ms. Chang's petition.
The warrant,
After the.
Ms. Chang?
Your Honor, the warrant was signed, issued on July 16th and it was filed July 17th.
And he bonded on the 18th, so there's.
Yeah, no, I did it electronically, so it should have already been in the system when he bonded out.
Okay.
So there's a failure somewhere, and it's not ours. It's not Ms. Chang.
I'm showing bonded out on the 18th at 10:24 a.m.
They're saying that his warrant came after his release.
Nope, if I signed it on the 16th and Ms. Chang filed it on the 17th, and everything is electronic, unless y'all failed to update your records, it should have already been in the system. It's nobody looked.
Your Honor, we'll try to reach out to him though and let him know that he.
Yeah, just tell him he needs to come back in. I don't want to have to reissue a warrant.
Yes, Your Honor, we'll try to reach him.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Chang, you have any other petitions on the calendar?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, who's next?
I have Jose Lopez Garcia, and the interpreter, I believe, is in court, and he has an attorney as well. And I also have Florence Jackson.
All right, let's go ahead with Lopez Garcia so we can get the interpreter to assisting someone else. I've been told.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. This is going to be a stipulation, by the way, Judge.
Okay.
Jose Lopez Garcia. I bet you
Mr. Lo
Sorry about that, Judge.
No problem. Mr. Lopez Garcia,
Yes.
you're before the court for a revocation of probation. You were before this court on September 25th of 2023 for driving under the influence, failure to make an accident report. You were sentenced to 12 months on probation. This is your third hearing. You failed to comply with a drug screen. You failed to report on June 6th, June 11th, June 13th, and June 28th of 2024. You last reported on July 11th of 2024. You documented 7 of 24 counseling dates, and you failed to pay your $881 in arrears. You're represented by counsel. Counsel, what's going on with Mr. Lopez Garcia?
Sorry, say it again, Judge.
What's going on with Mr. Lopez Garcia? Why can't he get this done? Why are we on the third hearing?
Well, in regards to the conditions, Judge, I believe he had a dilute screen on May 9th, 2024. We contend that my client was not doing anything illegal. He works in asphalt, and as a result of the heat, obviously drinks immense amounts of water that could easily cause a dilute screen. Now, I understand that it's still on him to make sure that a screen is not dilute, so that Officer Chang can ensure that there's nothing banned by the court going into his system. But we do contend that that is what happened. He had been completing his substance abuse classes, and he still had been. He just hasn't provided proof of anything since June 1st, because I believe that is when he had last reported, until July 11th, when he was told that he had an active warrant for his. I'm sorry.
What was the last report you said?
The last report was July 11th, 2024. That's when he was informed that he had a warrant for his arrest and needed to turn himself in. And he did report to Officer Chang at that time to allow himself to be taken into custody. So he had been doing the things that he was supposed to be doing. I think when he got the dilute screen, he got a little spooked, and that caused kind of a cascade or an avalanche that led us to where we are today. So I've spoken to Officer Chang, and we do have an agreed upon recommendation for the court if the court's willing to accept it.
All right, Ms. Chang.
Your Honor, the probation office recommends that 20 days be revoked, credit for time served since July 11th, and close the case.
Are we closing the case?
He has, Your Honor, a month and 21 days remaining.
If the court's not comfortable closing the case, that's okay.
Well, this is his third hearing, though. I know it's not a language barrier because Ms. Tolles and Ms. Bermudez are very astute interpreters.
And I agree with that, Judge. I believe one of the prior issues was not doing his treatment, which since then he was doing, as proof that he had done 7 of the 24 classes that he had submitted proof of. So I think he got the message, but I just think mistakes were made on my client's behalf, and he's trying to make it right. But I understand if the court wants him to finish reporting to make sure that at least as much of the treatment is done as possible. I don't think that's an issue for him. So we'll leave that just up to the court.
That's the problem. It's been an issue. He's got 7 of 24 classes. He had a whole 12 months, and he's got 7 of 24 classes. He failed to report, like the whole month of June. What was he on vacation? I'm frustrated because I feel like Mr. Lopez Garcia doesn't understand how seriously a DUI affects the community. he would be hot mad if somebody was DUI and killed a family member of his, but he's willing to do that and then not take responsibility and follow the sentence that the court imposed on him.
And while I do agree with the court, especially on, he's done 7 of 24 and he should have had time to do all of 24. Let's not forget, there's a lot of other conditions of his sentence that he did complete. He did the community service, the evaluation, the restoration, all the stuff the court requires on the DUI. So I don't want it to look like he just sat there and did nothing. I mean, he has done conditions, but you are correct that it's not just an alcohol and drug evaluation. It's an alcohol and drug evaluation and whatever treatment is recommended. And I do agree with the court that it does appear that he fell short on that end, but it's also important to note that he didn't do nothing after the last revocation when the court, he was brought before the court for not doing the treatment. He then did start to do the treatment. But I do understand the court's position in that there was time to do it. It wasn't all done. And now there's not enough time to do it all. So I understand the court's concern there. And if the court,
here's the other thing. I try and look at DUI and alcohol related charges from a clinical, somewhat medical standpoint. However, there are a lot of judges who see it as I don't want to speak for them in that sense, but from what I understand, as a personal failing. And so the first time they come back on a revocation, some judges I know revoke 6 months. Mr. Lopez Garcia has been here 3 times. So that tells me that something I'm doing is not working. I am failing because obviously Mr. Lopez Garcia is willing to risk 3 bites at the apple before me, before getting his act together. Whereas I'm trying to look at it from a standpoint of, hey, people have issues, they're working on some things. Let's see if we can, kind of be pretty much holistic and clinical about this. But there's some judges who, if you mess up that first time, you're doing 6 months in jail. And Mr. Lopez Garcia seems to be straining the bounds of my of the way I look at things, and so I'm getting a little bit annoyed because I don't ask for much. I get that he's done all that other stuff, but checking in the whole month of June, like literally, it looks like he might have gone on vacation. I don't even know what that was about. Mr. Lopez Garcia, you have anything to say directly?
Yo me comprometo a hacer lo que me falta si tengo que hacerlo 3 veces a la semana, yo lo hago.
I am obliged to do everything that's left to do. If I have to go twice a week, I am willing to do that.
Pero yo también he tratado de hacer las cosas y como dijo la señora juez, exacto, tengo otras cosas que hacer.
And I've tried to do the things, and just as you said, Your Honor, I do have other things that I have to do as well.
Such as?
Pues a veces trabajar, yo he llamado al oficial diciendo que no llego porque tengo trabajo.
I have to work, calling my officer. Sometimes I don't come because I have to go to work.
Yo sé que he cometido errores, pero siento que esos errores los puedo remediar.
I know that I've made mistakes, but I think that I can remedy those mistakes.
Well, the remedy is that you're not going to go out there and drink and drive anymore.
No volver a salir y tomar y manejar.
Exacto, no estoy manejando tampoco.
Exactly, I'm not driving either.
All right. All right. Y'all agreed to 20 days. All right. The reason I'm agreeing is because this case is old and Mr. Lopez Garcia hasn't gotten any other charge. This is the only reason. he hasn't gotten any other charges, since then. Yeah, so had he gone out and picked up some new charges, this would be a different conversation.
And the only thing I asked, Judge, is I know what just happened.
I'm listening.
Oh, this computer's going like absolutely crazy.
That's okay. I hear you just fine. It looks fine to me.
I know Officer Chang agreed to give my client credit from July 11th, 2024, when he turned himself in. I'll just ask that that date be written in the revocation order, just so that it's clear the date that he's supposed to receive credit from. There's just some recent case law that causes issues if the exact date isn't written.
Yeah, because what we say differs from what the sheriff is inclined to do and their calculations. And if we don't say it specifically, then the sheriff gets to decide.
Yep.
Am I correct?
That's exactly correct, Judge.
All right. Ah, it went away. What's autofill thing? Ooh. I gotta start over. Okay, I sent that off. All right, thank you, counsel. Thank you, Ms. Tolles.
Thank you, Judge. That concludes my business. May I be excused?
All right, yes, thank you.
Judge, good to see you.
You too. Take care.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Judge, what was the attorney's name again?
Shoot. I forgot. I'm sorry. I know him. I mean, but it just won't come to my head.
Isn't that Gene Sperlin?
He's out of Gene
This-
Sperlin's office. It's Robert.
Russ Gordon.
Russ Gordon.
Your Honor.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Because it went out of my head. I didn't want to say anything, but I'm old. I get to have a senior moment every now and again. All right.
Can I
Okay,
say
but
something
then-
before we move on? This is Daniel Preston. I'm sorry.
Okay, yes, Mr.
Oh,
Preston.
I was trying to see if we could go back to that case because I didn't really finish talking to my attorney or whoever the lady was.
All right,
So I'm
Ms.
trying to
Hahn.
figure.
Your Honor, I texted ASG Hagler, and I was just waiting on a response.
Okay, Mr. Preston, we're just waiting. We're trying to move cases and we only
All
got
right,
one
sorry.
person who's on the state side trying to get paperwork done and move things towards the defense side. So Ms. Hagler's gonna get that information to your attorney, okay?
All right.
All right, thank you. Be patient for me. Thank you. Just mute your device. So then when you hear your name called, then you can just,
All
all right?
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, who's next? So we've done Canis and Lopez Garcia. So do we need to go down the list? Do we need to look for females versus males?
Yeah.
What is going to be most efficient?
Your Honor, so there was one more probation violation. However, there was a problem in the jails with the elevator, so he just got up. We haven't spoken to him yet. So we need to speak with him.
Okay.
Now, but so if we can move on to the ladies as well.
Jackson, because Miss
Tatum.
Chang has Jackson as a probation violation, Florence. And is there someone else?
That's it, Your Honor. We need to speak with him.
Okay, well, let's go ahead with Miss Jackson. And then
Your Honor, I
Tessa
believe
is-
that's a male.
Oh, Florence?
He's a male. It's this morning, he wasn't up because the jail elevators weren't moving up for rest.
Oh, so you haven't spoken to Jackson
Correct.
yet?
But he's here
Okay.
now, so we just need to speak with him. So I was thinking we could finish with the ladies, and Miss Tatum is coming out next, and then we can handle Miss Chang's after, if that's okay.
Okay, let me ask this. So I don't see a petition on this, but this case is closed. Christopher Scott is closed, no petition, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And I don't see a petition, SSD, nothing. I just have that case was resolved prior. All right, so whoever y'all bring out next, I'll deal with.
Oh, right here.
Allie.
You know what I mean? Scott and Fisher's up here now too.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, wait, Scott's here?
I don't know why, I think that's what he was talking about earlier, the elevator stuff or whatever.
Well, his case is closed. Your Honor, Deputy Willis just let me know Scott is actually here. So if the case is closed, can he just go?
Yeah, check the records because y'all releasing folk who shouldn't be released and you keeping folk who shouldn't be kept. Check the records. So I have on my records that his case before me is closed. However, that does not mean that he doesn't have something pending before another judge, possibly a felony. So please make sure you check his LE number and anything else you need to check before you release Christopher Kendrick Scott.
The case before you was transferred to Superior.
Yep, so he's here. They just transferred my case to Superior Court. So he should be on a Superior Court calendar, not my calendar. Yeah, it's TSU. So thanks, Miss Wright. Okay, so who's this before me?
Miss Tatum, Your Honor.
All right, Miss Tatum, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony that you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Miss Tatum, you're before the court on State of Georgia versus Tessa Elizabeth Tatum, 2024 CR 05814 for giving false name, address, or date of birth. Count 1, count 2, stop or yield sign violation. Count 3, marijuana 1 ounce or less, and count 4, obstruction of an officer. You're represented by the attorney Chelsea Hahn with the law firm of Lister, Holt, and Dennis. Ms. Hahn, what is your client plea to the offense before the court?
Your Honor, it'll be guilty to count 1, no low to count 2, count 3 will be no cross, and count 4 will be no cross.
All right. All right. By entering a plea of guilty to count 1 and no low to count 2, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself, and if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please, Ms. Hagler. You're muted. That's okay, happens all the time.
Yes, Your Honor, sorry about that. On or about June 13th, 2024, Officer Williams was patrolling the area of Homewood Drive, Leafwood Court, Riverdale, when he observed a 2010 Nissan Versa that failed to come to a complete stop at the stop sign at the intersection. Officer Williams did conduct a traffic stop. He made contact with the defendant standing before you. A probable cause search of the vehicle was conducted due to the strong odor of what Officer Williams believed to be marijuana. The defendant advised Officer Williams that there was a small amount of a green leafy material substance inside the glove compartment of the vehicle. Officer Williams did locate a small clear baggie containing the green leafy substance that he believed to be marijuana. Upon making contact with the defendant said that she did not have her driver's license on her person and provided Officer Williams with the name of Marya, M-A-R-Y-A, Tatum, T as in tree, A-T-U-M, with the date of birth of June 5th of 2002. Officer Williams did a GCIC check, and the results of the name and date of birth provided showed that the defendant did not have a valid driver's license. At that time, the defendant was arrested and placed into handcuffs.
All right. What's the recommendation?
Yes, for count one, the state's recommending a fine of $200 to be suspended. And for count two, the state is recommending a fine of $100 to be suspended. And then counts 3 and 4 are going to be non-prof.
Right. All right, Ms. Hahn.
Your Honor, we ask that you accept the state's recommendation. I did speak with Ms. Tatum about who this Maria Tatum is. It is her sister. She gave the false name, thinking that, knowing that she potentially had a warrant out for her arrest, and she did so. She was afraid. We had the conversation, and the attorney.
See, Ms. Hahn is trying to save you from being fussed at, because I do it so much more vehemently than she does. She's nice. Me, not so much, because the last thing I want to see is your sister's name on television because she's been shot because she was, arguing with the police officers who told her she had a warrant, and she's telling them she doesn't because you were the one who put her name in the system. Mm-hmm. That is the dumbest thing you could do. First of all, none of this had to happen. You gave us free time from your life because of a false name, address, or date of birth. You know what you probably would have gotten had you just given them your name and not had a green leafy substance in a moving vehicle? You would have gotten a ticket. Also, if you think you have a warrant out there pending, wouldn't it be better to go ahead and get you an attorney and deal with the warrant that's out there pending, or have the court appoint you an attorney if you can't afford one, instead of you getting snatched out of a car and going to jail to have to face something that you're not ready to face? Mm-hmm. How old are you?
I'm 25.
Oh, Lord, another 25-year-old. Y'all 25-year-olds are making some really bad decisions. Y'all aren't thinking to the next thing. Okay, so this is what happens. At some point, your brain clicks in and your brain chemistry changes, and you start thinking about the consequences of your actions. You're still in that mode of, oh my gosh, I got to say something, or I got to do something, instead of thinking about the consequences of your actions. Giving a false name, address, or date of birth is the most avoidable charge that you can ever get. And if you think about it, you have an iPhone, don't you?
Yes, ma'am. You
can open your phone with your face. Do you think we can't figure out who you are once you come to court? Do you think officers don't have like straight up fingerprint readers that they keep in their car? They can figure it out. Yeah. So why would you give yourself time in jail?
I wasn't thinking, ma'am.
I know, but that's what I'm trying to explain to you. Mm-hmm. Miss Tessa, let me tell you something. You're 25 years old. I just said this to another 25-year-olds. Before you turn around, you're going to be 30. Then you're going to be 40. And what will you have done with your life? What is it you plan to do? This is your assignment from me. Apart from all of this, your assignment from me is to sit down, because a lot of times we don't get quiet and listen and think through things. I need you to sit down and give yourself 30 minutes of quiet time with a pen and a paper. And I want you to figure out what you want to be doing in 1 year and 5 years. And figure out how to make that happen. If you don't know where you're going, you're going to keep ending up back here in a green jumpsuit.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you're doing things in the immediate, but you're never thinking about what it's going to mean in the long term.
Yes.
What is it you see? Just me and you talking. Get everybody else. What is it you see yourself doing with your life?
I want to start my own business and I want to start a family.
Okay, so those are two things that require a lot of good common sense. When you start a business, you're going to have to handle money, taxes. Most businesses pay quarterly taxes, which means you paying your taxes every quarter, 4 times a year. So you're going to have to learn business skills. You're going to have to learn marketing skills. All of those things come with having a business. Not that you don't have a good idea or a good skill or product, but you got to think about those things, okay? And if you want to have a family, man, do you know how much you have to know and figure out to be a mama? I mean, it's constant. You got a constant list in your head. Have I gotten the immunizations for school? Do I have all the clothes they're going to need? Did I check and make sure homework is done? Okay, do I have to arrange for summer camp or, after school camp? All of those things, do I have insurance to make sure that if anything happens, they can go to a doctor? All of those things require you to think. Okay? So I'm just asking you, Miss Tessa, think carefully about how you want the next part of your life to go. Okay? All right. Thank you, ma'am. And don't put your sister in no foolishness.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for talking to me this morning.
Because I believe that this is a bump in the road. This is just bad decisions. You ain't a bad person. Okay? All right. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Suspended fines on both. You go.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. So who's next? So those, I believe, are the only 2 females.
Your Honor, if we could do Mr. Jacobs.
Okay. Pastor Jerome Jacobs.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Ms. Haigler, I think I may have texted the wrong number. I don't know. Let me see. It's the ending in 90. I don't want to say even the last 4. What was that? The correct number?
Are you talking to me?
No, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I was speaking to Haigler.
Okay.
Hey, I can barely hear you. What was your question?
I was wondering if you received my text. I think I texted the number ending in 90.
Let me check my. No, I don't have anything from you. I can put my cell in the chat.
Miss Arnold gave it to me. I think that's yeah. No, she gave me the correct one. Never mind.
Okay. All right.
I'm about to text you now.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. But we're ready with Mr. Jake, or no. Mr.
Good morning, Mr. Jacobs. Mr. Jacobs, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Raise your right hand for me, sir. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down, Mr. Jacobs. So you're before the court on 2024 CR 05739 for Kaiser Jerome Jacobs. You're with your attorney, Ms. Chelsea Hahn. Mr. Jacobs, you're before the court for driving on a suspended or revoked license, no license, suspended registration, and no tag or expired or invalid tag. Ms. Hahn, how does your client plead to the offenses before the court?
Your Honor, it's going to be NOLO to count 2, and then he would like to plead NOLO to count 4. And Your Honor, I just wanted to place on the record, I did advise regarding license suspension, and that these would not suspend his license, but he did still want to plead NOLO.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so Mr. Jacobs, by entering a plea of NOLO to counts 2 and 4, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about June 23rd of 2024, Officer Dominique Woodard, WOODARD, was on patrol at 7878 North Main Street, located in Clayton County, Georgia, when he observed a white 1996 Buick Buick Park Avenue. It also matched the defendant's vehicle. The officer had previously checked the defendant's information through GCIC and learned that the defendant had a suspended license. At that point, officer conducted a traffic stop using his sirens. And at that point, the defendant was arrested.
All right. Recommendation?
Yes. At this time, Your Honor, the state's offer is going to be non-pros count 1, count 2, 12 months to serve, 15 days, community time served, balance suspended. One second, Your Honor. No further violations of the law. Count 3, non-pros, and then count 4, a fine of $100 to be suspended.
All right. Mr. Jacobs? Mr. Jacobs, as we stand here today, do you have a current active license?
No, ma'am.
All right, so then you know between me and you, that means you're not supposed to be behind the wheel of a car.
Yes, ma'am.
You need to park that Buick Park Avenue until you get a license and valid insurance. Do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't run to the store. Don't run somebody up the street. Don't take somebody's medicine if they sick. If you do not have a valid license and valid insurance, don't get behind the wheel of that car. Do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, don't come back to see me, Mr. Jacobs, because I'll be the judge you come back to see if you get picked up again.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I'm going to accept your plea of NOLO to counts 2 and 4. Counts 1 and 3 will be no prost. On count 2, 12 months to serve, 15 days credit for time served. Balance will be suspended as long as you have no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia. On count 4, $100 suspended fine, credit for time served. All right, sir, you can go back with the sheriff's office, and if there's nothing else then holding you, then you'll be free to go. But don't get in that car. Do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Hahn, I did receive your text. I am looking at it now.
Okay, thank you. No
You're
problem.
welcome.
Your Honor, I'm trying to figure out who all I've spoken to versus Mr. Taylor because he's still in there.
I somehow lost myself. Like I lost my screen. I know I'm still on here somewhere, but give me a minute. Ah, there we are.
Oh, Your Honor, so we don't represent Mr. McGowan. I did speak with him to see if he wanted representation. He wasn't clear as to whether or not he had spoken with counsel. So perhaps maybe he can come up and address the court. But he did make it clear that he did not want us to represent him.
Okay, how old is Mr. McGowan?
Your Honor, Mr. McGowan, I would guess somewhere in his 30s or 40s.
Okay. All right, no problem. All right, who's next?
Does he need to come before the court, Your Honor?
If he's up, yeah, bring him up.
McGowan. Because, Your Honor, most everybody else are people that Mr. Taylor has spoken to. And so I believe he's almost done.
Mr. McGorick is back.
Your Honor, I don't believe he's here. Let me check Deputy Willis's notes.
All right, I'm ready for McGowan though.
Please go ahead and get him, Your Honor.
So, Your Honor, for clarity purposes, does Mr. McGowan he's not represented by Lister and Holt and has no attorney at all?
That is my understanding, but I'm about to verify that.
Okay, because if that ends up being verified, then we'll just be requesting a breakout room just to relay the offer to him if he isn't represented.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. McGowan, come here towards the computer, sir. Mr. McGowan, you understand that you're charged with driving under the influence, which is carries some serious penalties and improper lane change. And so do you wish to have an attorney or do you already have an attorney?
Well, I already have an attorney.
Who's your attorney?
I can't remember at the time because when I received the citation from the officer, I sought legal counsel. Then I was informed that the case was disposed of by the court clerk. And since then—
How were you informed that a DUI just went away?
I came up here when I seen my name on the calendar, and the court clerk informed me that the case was disposed. I did not have to come to court.
When they say disposed, did you get some paperwork?
I asked paperwork. She said I didn't need it. She said the case is disposed. She said you could leave, but I did screenshot the court calendar from my cell phone when I checked to see when I had to appear for court. And that's the evidence that I had that the case was disposed of upon me also coming to the courthouse and being told verbally by the court clerk that the case was disposed of.
No, sir. It's a DUI. We don't generally just dispose of those.
That's what I understood at the time.
Okay, so you don't remember who you hired? You pay somebody, or did you just call somebody?
No, ma'am. I had an attorney on hand at the time, and when I spoke with him about everything, then he said, "Well, if the case is disposed, then we need not continue our dealing." So once I was aware that the case was disposed of and I did not have to appear for court.
But you keep saying that, but you don't have any proof that says somebody told you that. You're saying somebody told you the case was disposed of. We don't dispose of DUIs. You either come to court, take a plea, or the case may get downgraded to something else, or you go to trial, but we don't dispose of a DUI, sir.
I understand that, ma'am, but I wasn't aware of that. I'm just going off the information.
Okay, hold on a second. Why is he in jail? Is this a bench warrant or is he in jail for something else? Because he had a bond on the DUI. Is this an FTA or a bench warrant?
It's
Ms.
definitely a
McGowan?
bench warrant, Your Honor.
FTA put on here says driving under influence and improper lane change.
Okay, so, sir, you got a bench warrant because we lost track of you. But you're here, you don't have counsel. Do you wish to hire an attorney, or do you wish for me to appoint the law firm that we have that works with individuals who are jailed or indigent?
Ma'am, I have to go with a hired attorney.
Okay, this is what I'm gonna need from you. I'll go ahead and get rid of the bench warrant. Because this is a 2021 case, which means that you probably moved, didn't update your address, all of those things. But what I'm going to need you to do is to provide an update of your address to the clerk's office of Clayton County. And Ms. Wright?
Yes, ma'am.
If I let him out today, what does he need to do to update his address and information?
He needs to come downstairs to the either the state court clerk's office or to the microfilm office and fill out a change of address.
Okay, so sir, when you are released from jail today, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the bench warrant set aside in order that you be released from jail today and the bond reinstated, whatever, because the bond, we haven't had a forfeiture so that you're not off the bond. So what I'm going to say is, when you leave the jail, go to the clerk's office on the first floor of this building. So you're going to come out of the jail building. You're going to come around to the front. You're going to come in through the front door, go through security, go straight down to the first floor. You're going to go to your left to the state court clerk's office. So just ask for the state court clerk. That's all you need to remember. When you get to that office, you're going to give them your current information for it to be changed in the system, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And you can ask for any information that's already in your file. If you want to get your any bond conditions that you might have, any paperwork that's in your file, you can ask for a copy of it, but you need to hire an attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so Ms. Val, I'm going to ask that you put him on a arraignment calendar about 30 days out.
Okay.
All right. All right, so Mr. McGowan, don't mess up. The most important thing is, I understand this is an older case and your address may have changed, which is why you got picked up. But I'm giving you this opportunity to get out, to get your address change done with the state court clerk's office, to hire an attorney. You got 30 days to hire an attorney to represent you on this case, okay?
Understood.
All right. Did you have any questions for me?
Yes, ma'am, but they slipped my mind at the time, so I guess I just hold my.
That's okay. So when you come back, your attorney, hire your attorney as soon as possible, because the last thing an attorney wants to do is take a case and the court date is tomorrow. I'm giving you at least 30 days to get there, but you still got to get notice of the court hearing. So we haven't set it yet, but you want to hire an attorney as soon as you can, because A, no attorney wants to get a case at the last minute. It makes us less effective as attorneys. And B, when you hire your attorney, they're going to have to do some things like get in touch with the state, look at the file so that they can represent you from that first day going forward. So make sure as soon as you get out of here that you contact someone to assist you, okay? All right. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and sign that bench warrant set aside. All right, no, I'm not calling names. Y'all tell me who you have, because I know there's probably, people that are up and maybe some people who aren't. Hey,
Yes,
Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Jackson on the violation of probation petition.
Okay. All right, Ms. Tang, Mr. Jackson is next. Sounds like Mr. McGowan got some COVID pandemic information and was not accurate. So we give him a reset.
Let me stand on your other side.
All right, who's this?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is Mr. Jackson.
All right, Mr. Florence Edwards Jackson. Mr. Jackson, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down, sir. Mr. Jackson, you're before the court on a petition for revocation of probation. It's on State of Georgia versus Florence Edwards Jackson, case 2022 CR 07754. You were before this court for battery and criminal trespass on January 10th of 2023. You were sentenced to 12 months remaining. 12 months on probation. You have 5 months and 21 days remaining. The sentence was tolled because you failed to report on February 15th, March 15th, April 12th, May 8th, and within 10 days of June 16th of 2023. You last reported on March 23rd of 2023. You failed to comply with counseling. You have not shown proof of enrolling and completing an anger management program. You failed to document proof of completing 40 hours of community service, and you failed to pay your $1,260 in arrears. Mr. Taylor, what happened that Mr. Jackson could not complete any of what the court ordered him to do?
Your Honor, I had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Jackson and discuss his situation. He's been under pretty significant financial difficulty and residential difficulty, which made it difficult for him to travel to Clayton County to the courthouse to report. He hasn't had the money to participate in the court-ordered anger management class, to enroll in it, and also to pay the associated fines that the court imposed. Mr. Jackson has been working off and on as he's been going from, I believe, from hotel to his residence has been unstable. He's finally gotten it stabilized by residing with his fiance now. And he has taken steps to basically improve his life. He had a job offer that was a significant job offer that was available to him. However, we're not sure if it's going to still be available because it was designed to start on July 10th while Mr. Jackson was in custody.
What is the job offer?
The job offer was to be a sous chef at Twisted Tomato restaurant in Blue Ridge, Georgia, at a pretty good salary.
Mr. Jackson, how long you been cooking?
I've been doing culinary for 15 years, Your Honor. I have both a pastry and a culinary degree.
Mr. Jackson, as many restaurants who are always looking for sous chefs and pastry chefs, what's the impediment to you finding a job? Step up closer. And see, you can't really snow me on this one because my sister is a chef. And so I know they always looking. So what's going on?
One of them has been my resume. I had to get my resume fixed. According to a professional, my resume was getting me kicked out by a lot of people because a lot of restaurants and people, when they do their review, they use AI because my resume was 3.5 pages long. It was automatically getting kicked out, yes, Your Honor. As well as, unfortunately, there's a certain number that I have to make to maintain my life. I have 3 kids. My third child just turned 2, literally on the 21st. I pay with 2 kids right now, $700 in child support. So I can't make anything under $60,000. So when I apply for jobs, I have to apply for jobs that start out at a certain amount of money. And those are very few and far between. The average salary for a sous chef in Georgia is about $15,000, Your Honor.
I'm clear on that, but here's the thing, Mr. Jackson, this is a little secret I'm gonna let you in on. You can have a job and a side hustle, especially if you cook. Don't start. So all these people who have these I can't make no less than $60,000. Well, you can put that together in many, many ways. See, The problem is I'm married to a man who has never had any less than 2 jobs and a hustle, or a job and 2 hustles. He's always making money in different ways. And so when people tell me, well, I got to have one job that makes $60,000, no, you don't. You could work as a sous chef making 50 and then pick up that other 10 helping with somebody else's catering business, or running your own catering business, or selling pastries out the side, or telling the bakery, hey, I got you on croissant. I'll come in at 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. I got you, and then I'm gonna go to my real job. No, sir. You chose to have 3 kids, and so I can't feel sorry for you for that, because you brought them here and you're not equipped to take care of them. But what I'm saying to you is, all of these people who just want one job to make that high salary, no, sir. You got to become part of the people who work more than one job. That is what you're going to have to do. I don't even have a concept of people who just have one job. Even when I was, before I got this job, I worked and I did notary signings until we couldn't do them anymore. So, I mean, I would get off work and then I would hustle from place to place, notarizing documents and mailing them back out. And, so for folk who say, well, I got to have a certain amount of salary. First of all, if you start at a place, you don't know what could happen. Sous chefs disappear all the time. So you could work your way up to the head sous chef, or the chef who works with the executive chef who designs the menu. So there's all kinds of opportunities. But what you can't do is just wait for that golden goose to plop a $75,000 job in your lap as a sous chef. You gonna have to chef and then hustle. Chef and hustle. And so until you get that concept, you're going to still be out here in these streets. And another thing I'm going to tell you is, some money is better than no money. So while you sitting here homeless and jobless waiting for that $60,000 a year job, your kids aren't getting anything. If you working at McDonald's and a couple of other places and cooking at Frontera, your kids getting something.
Yes, sir. And I understand. That's what I'm saying. I do work and I do side hustles. They don't equip. And then I also don't have a vehicle. So I spend a lot of time in transit on Martin. So that ends up killing a lot of my extra side hustle time. Typically,
how are you with the mama or mamas of your children?
Right now, 2 of them I'm not in contact with at all. We are fighting to get legitimation with, and I just like I say, I just got done with the second one. We're pretty decent. We literally I just got done working for her sister about a year ago. That was my last job. I was working for her line sister at a restaurant called Apache XLR downtown. So we're still in pretty good standings.
Okay, this is what you need to do. You need to sit these women down, explain your situation, humble yourself, apologize for not being the financial partner that they need in helping to raise these children, and ask them if they will give you 3 months to get your life together. 3 months of just hard hustle. Just give me 3 months to get my life together. And then you hustle like you have never hustled before. You work like you have never worked before. If you got to go to the library and look up what a good resume for a sous chef is, and then do it on the library computer, then you need to do that. Because excuse after excuse after excuse ain't gonna get them babies' bellies fed. The first thing you need to do is get on good accord with their mamas. And the second thing you need to do is to get your life together. Because those babies can't wait while you work it out. And don't have no more kids. Not right now. You can't afford the ones you got. So you say you moved in with your fiance. Don't make that fiance and another baby mama. Don't do it. Don't have another baby with this woman or anybody else. Okay? That's what condoms are for. Condoms are cheaper than child support or child care. They are. I'm gonna get a t-shirt. That's mine. I trademarked it. Don't nobody touch it. But condoms are cheaper than child support or child care. Because you can't afford your life right now. All right, let's go back to this petition, because this is a lot. I'm over here trying to get people lives fixed. And all right, Ms. Chang, what's the recommendation in this case?
Your Honor, probation recommends that 30 days be revoked, thereafter close the case.
How long
Credit
has
for-
he been in jail?
Since July 11th, Your Honor, about 12 days.
And Your Honor, we're asking.
Has he had any contact with the person who's on the battery?
Not that I'm aware, Your Honor.
Any additional charges for anything?
Not that I'm aware, Your Honor.
Mr. Taylor?
No contact with the victim in the instant case. And I'm not aware of any other charges. We just asked that he be given credit for the 12 days that he served and close the case so that he can begin working again and providing for his children. And hopefully, Mr. Jackson will be able to contact the employer, the potential employer that had offered him the position in Blue Ridge and take advantage of that situation, of that offer.
Does it come with housing?
They're offering to pay for me and my fiance to currently break our lease and move closer to Blue Ridge. Yes, Your Honor, that's part of the offer.
Okay, housing might be cheaper up there, although it's a resort, it's considered a resort area, so that might be a wash. And your fiance needs to get a job as soon as you get up there, because both of y'all need to be churning.
She has one. She works for Delta. We're gonna try to move halfway there to make the distance travel equal for each other, so one person doesn't have to travel over an hour and a half just to get to work.
All right, Mr. Jackson, I'm gonna give you credit for the 15 days. Your case is gonna be suspended after service of the 15 days, but that doesn't mean it can't come back. Don't mess up. But this is what I tell you. I'm giving you the opportunity, not for you, but you got 3 babies that need to be taken care of. Don't make any more. But those babies need you out on the hustle, not sitting in jail on a criminal trespass and a battery case where you haven't, had any contact or messed up since then. But what I say to you, sir, is I don't care if it takes 4 jobs that you work in 24 hours a day to make what's necessary to take care of your children. They're the priority. You suffer, you sleep wherever you have to sleep. If you got to go to one job, sleep in the parking lot, go in there, do that job, get out, go to the next job, you do that and make sure those babies have money, because their mamas don't have the luxury of not paying. They are with them full time. And if something happens, if they have a need, they don't get to say, well, I just can't do it right now, or I don't have a job, or my job doesn't pay me $60,000, so I can't help you. They don't get that luxury. So you don't get that luxury.
Yes, ma'am.
All right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that's all I have this morning. May I be excused?
Chang, check and see if you got that. Did I send that? Did it go through?
I believe I did. Let me.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yes, I received it, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Because sometimes this computer. All right. Thank you, Ms. Chang. All
Thank
right.
you. Have a good day.
You too. Next. Ms. Hahn. Please tell Mr. Bell that I'm not going to keep being played with, and that he's going to come up on the next trial calendar. He's going to be first or second out.
Yes, Your Honor, I'll make sure to let him know.
And tell him also that everybody's clear. He ain't about to get no CDL with those charges.
Yes, Your Honor, I'll make sure that he's aware.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I've asked for Mr. Fisher to be brought out.
Mr. Who?
Fisher, Troy.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Okay, so for my calendar, we still have Mr. Preston. We haven't concluded his case yet. Mr. Reynolds. He is not guilty, so he's gonna be on a trial calendar. And Mr. Bell is gonna be on a trial calendar. Mr. Gray is gonna do a bench trial so he can get his documents compiled. Raise your right hand for me, sir. Solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. So you're before the court on state of Georgia versus Mr. Fisher. Mr. Troy Ray Fisher, 2024 CR 04637 for criminal trespass, count 1, and theft by receiving, count 2. You're represented by Mr. Taz Taylor. By entering a plea, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Taylor, I didn't get the plea. What's the plea?
Your Honor, Mr. Fisher is pleading no load to count 2, theft by receiving, and on the criminal trespass, the state has recommended the no process.
All right. So, Mr. Taylor, Mr. Fisher, by entering a plea of no load to count 2, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony or evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Based on the warrant in the packet, on or about April the 2nd of 2024, the defendant was locked up inside of a family restroom for over 2 hours at the Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, where he currently has a criminal trespass already. The defendant has multiple criminal trespass warnings that have been issued, and he has been arrested for those charges. The defendant also had a personal check on him that was written out to a Mr. Robert, R-O-B as in boy, E-R-T, Collins, C-O-L-L-I-N-S as in Sam, for $1,500 on his belongings at the time of the arrest. At this time, the state's recommendation for count 1, we're going to NAPROS. For count 2, 12 months to serve 90 days, balance suspended, and that the defendant is banned from the airport, Hartsfield International.
All right, Mr. Fisher, I'm going to accept your plea of no load to count 2. Count 1 will be no prost. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 90 days. Balance will be suspended as long as you have no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia, and that you do not go back to Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport during the course of the 12 months. Has Mr. Fisher served the 90 days, or is he looking at
He has, Your Honor.
credit for time served?
Since April 2nd.
Okay, Mr. Fisher, what's going on? Why are we at the airport, sir?
I know I seen you on the 21st. It was, I think, May. I was just charging my phone and freshening it up because I was homeless. And I'm from
Okay. Well, do you have some family support so that you can maybe come up out of the homelessness for a minute?
Yeah, my cousin stays out here. I just lost contact with him. I got back in contact with him, so I'll be all right.
Okay, well, if your cousin is willing to give you the opportunity to stay with them, get a job, work, and help out. All right?
Okay.
So you don't end up back on the street, okay?
Your Honor, before we pronounce final sentence, I just wanted to make a correction to the factual basis. The check amount was $1,142. I think that's significant because a $1,500 threshold would push this to.
Yeah, I got you. So with the check, it was never negotiated. Is that correct?
That's correct. You just had it
Okay, good. All right. All right, Mr. Fisher, you can go back to the sheriff's office. Who's next?
So I'm good as long as you stay away from here.
Good, as long as you stay away from the airport. Open my door, nothing, just don't go to the airport. Mr. Preston will be next, Your Honor.
We're ready on Mr. Preston.
On who?
Mr. Preston.
Mr. Preston, all right, this is a plea.
Yes, ma'am.
Raise your right hand for me, sir. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Preston. You're before the court for criminal trespass. You're represented by Ms. Chelsea Hahn on case 2023-CR03372. Ms. Hahn, what does your client plead to the offense before the court?
Nolo, Your Honor.
All right. By entering a plea of nolo, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
All right, ma'am.
All right. Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about November the 5th of 2021, officers responded. They were dispatched to 7898 Taylor Circle, Clayton County, Georgia, in reference to a domestic disturbance. The victim, I'll spell her first and last name, Binti, B as in boy, I-N-T as in tree, I, last name, Dias, D as in David, H-A-Y as in yo-yo, I-S, stated that when she came home, she saw her clothes were outside. The victim stated that she was not able to make entry into the home. The victim said that she got into an argument with the defendants, and that the defendant went into her car looking for his driver's license. The victim stated that the defendant threw her items outside the car. Your Honor, at this time, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 1 day, commuted time served, balance suspended, to not return to the incident location and to stay away from the victim in this case.
All right, Ms. Hahn.
Your Honor, we just ask that you accept the negotiated plea.
All right, Mr. Preston, you and Ms. Diaz, y'all don't have any children together, do you?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, Lord. All right, y'all, I need y'all to talk about this before you make a recommendation. So Mr. Diaz, have you legitimized your children? How many children? First of all, let's talk about that.
She has one, a daughter.
Okay, and that's the only child you have with her.
That's the only child I have with her.
Have you gone to court and gotten legitimation, visitation, child support, custody, all of that worked out?
I didn't do all that because I didn't know that she pressed charges on anything. So I didn't.
Sir, that's not the reason you do it. The reason you do it is because until you do those things, if you weren't married to Ms. Diaz at the time that the child was born, then it is likely that the child is not considered your legal progeny, which means that you might be her daddy, but you're not her legal father until those things are taken care of. And if Ms. Diaz wants to deny you access to that child, she can do so legally because she's the only legal parent.
So you want me to have a conversation with her so she won't do none of
No,
this?
sir,
Or?
you can't have a conversation with her. Did you just hear me say you have no contact with her?
Yeah, I understand that. So what do you
No,
recommend?
I don't think you do. Slow down.
Your Honor.
I think you need to understand what I'm saying. If you have contact with her, you could pick up a felony charge and end up back in jail. But
I thought you had said something about working out something with her. I'm sorry about that. I didn't.
No, you don't get to work out something with her. What I'm saying to you is you can go through the courts the Superior Court of the county where the child lives. You can file in that court for legitimation, custody, child support. All of those things can be worked out, and you all can get written direction and order from the Superior Court about how you are to communicate about this child, because obviously y'all can't co-parent with some sense, number one. And number two, your child deserves to have you as her legal parent, not just her baby daddy.
Oh, okay. So
if something happened to you right now, that child is not considered your legal child. Do you hear me?
I'm confused, but
what are you confused about?
Like, I don't understand what you mean by it's not my legal child. I don't want to say nothing out of place. So I'm just saying I'm confused on what's
were you married? I'm telling you how the law looks at this. Were you married to Miss Diaz at any time?
No, I was wondering, like, how did a child get involved about something?
Listen to me. I'm asking you because you have a no contact provision. And if you go over there contacting her about seeing your child without some legal direction from another judge, you will get arrested. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
No, I'm trying to figure out go where, because I live at a house. I'm trying to figure out
go
anymore.
Where. So how you been living at the house, Mr. Preston?
It was my parents' house, so I'm trying to figure out where was I supposed to go after the altercation.
Okay, well, where's Miss Diaz?
She does not live with us.
Okay, so this is another thing, Miss Hahn. The house is not even hers. So y'all got a no-go provision. Hold on, Mr. Preston. Y'all have a no-go provision. You can't go back to that location, but it's his parents' house.
That's what I'm
talking to these people.
When I relayed the offer initially, I explained the stay away, but it sounds like Mr. Preston.
But you gotta ask, because a lot of times people don't understand. And I'm just telling you from having done a lot of this on TPOs, and you gotta ask whose house it is, because a lot of times it's not the victim's location, house. They're just there for the day, the time, whatever. But you gotta ask. And so if Ms. Diaz has never been at that address, if it is not her legal right to be there, then the no-go provision comes out of the sentence. Because otherwise, he gonna go to his mama house and get arrested. The second thing is the fact that they have a no contact provision. If they share a child, you got to explain to him that you can't contact her to work out something to co-parent. You got to go through the Superior Court and get legal documents to say how you are to co-parent. Otherwise, by merely contacting her just to see his baby, he could get arrested.
Yeah, I'm confused in all of those, ma'am, to be honest.
So I'm taking the provision out. You can go back to that location. That's fine. As long as Ms. Diaz is not there, living there, or anything. Are we clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but with respect to your child, if you cannot contact Ms. Diaz to see your child, you have to go through the Superior Court and get an order of visitation that allows you, that tells you how you're going to contact her and how you're going to see your child. Otherwise, you're going to be violating my order.
All right.
You understand that part?
All right, ma'am.
Okay. So what I would say to you is call Ms. Hahn tomorrow, talk to her about what you need to do or to explain this order to you. Okay?
All right.
And don't just go back over there talking to Miss Diaz or having contact with her, because if you do so, that'll violate your sentence.
All right. So can Ms. Hahn send me her number again or something?
Ms. Hahn, go ahead and text him the best contact information. If it's email, number, whatever, but go ahead and chat that to him before he gets off this call, because the sentence is confusing to him and I get it.
Yes, Your Honor. It's the number I just called you from, Mr. Preston. I'm going to send it to you for the third time.
All right. If that's the number, I already have it then.
All right.
Your Honor, if I may, since the defendant and the victim do share a child, the state doesn't have an injunction to just no violent or harassing contact, as opposed to, well, we defer to the court.
Ms. Hahn?
Your Honor, we would ask for no violent or harassing contact in that case if the state has no objection.
All right, well, the factual basis I heard is one that I would think lends itself more to no violent or harassing contact. She had stuff in his car. He was trying to get his keys back. It was a back and forth. But Mr. Preston, I'm gonna
Yes.
change it to no violent or harassing contact. But you still need to get your business straight with respect to your child being legally yours, okay?
All right. And I
Because
have go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
just, people just having babies, but people don't understand that there's a lot that comes with that. When you have a child in wedlock, it's assumed that you're the legal parent. But if you have a baby and y'all aren't married and you don't have any paperwork worked out, then there's only the mother is the legal child, the legal parent. You understand?
Okay. Even when the child has my last name?
It don't matter.
Okay.
Yes, even when the child has your last name.
Okay.
Because y'all didn't do it, y'all didn't go through marriage to have the baby, y'all just had a baby. So there's people with multiple fathers of their children or mothers of their children. Well, the court can't assume that everybody is the legal parent.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
So get your business straight. How old are you?
25, man.
How many, oh Jesus, another 25-year-old. How many children do you have?
I only have one.
Okay, then get your business straight, work, do that. And then the next time you have a child, try and have one in a relationship that's going to be stable and long term because your child deserves that.
All right.
All right. You
All
don't
right.
need to have a baby with everybody you date.
All right.
Condoms are cheaper than child support or child care.
All right.
All right. All
All
right.
right.
You can talk to Ms. Hahn tomorrow.
So-
Thank you.
So,
Yes.
so is the case like, so I talked to Ms. Hahn, is the case like over or is it continue or
The case,
is it?
listen to me carefully. The case is you 1 day credit for time served. The balance of the case is going to be suspended as long as you have no violent or harassing contact with Ms. Diaz. If you and Ms. Diaz get into it, this case can come back to me.
Okay, the reason why I asked that because I was trying to like get a job, and every time I apply for the job, they keep telling me about the I have
No,
a case that's
it's
open.
closed now. It's not
Okay.
open anymore. And you entered a plea of nolo, so that may help you because it means
All right.
that you haven't said you're guilty of anything.
All right. So as of today, it's closed.
Yes, as of today. If you need the paperwork, you can always come down to the courthouse and get it on the first floor at the state court clerk's office, okay?
Can I get it later on today?
Yeah, you should be able to.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
To you, Mr.
All right, Mr. Preston.
Mr.
All right.
President,
All right.
I can
Yep.
email
Yep.
a copy
Can
of
you
the-
do that for me?
Yes.
Can you do that for me, please?
Yes.
All right. Just call me if you can, or however you want to do it, ma'am. Because I really need a job, and this keep on stopping me.
Okay.
So can I leave the meeting, or can I?
Yes, sir. You're good. Thank you, Mr. Preston. Thank you for your
All right.
patience. And thank you for listening to me because I wanted to make sure you knew what was going on.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. All right. Who's next? That concludes the arraignment calendar from this morning. That was the last case that was outstanding.
I spoke to him yesterday. I told him I talked to him today.
Your Honor, we're bringing out Mr. Duffy.
Hmm?
Deputy Willis is getting Mr. Duffy.
Okay.
Stand up if you can.
Raise your right hand for me, Mr. Duffy. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on 2024 CR 01474 for sexual battery count 1, public indecency count 2. You're represented by attorney Chelsea Hahn with the law firm of Lister, Holt, and Dennis. Ms. Hahn, are there any concerns?
Yes, Your Honor. So Mr. Taylor and I are kind of tag teaming on this one. So there were mental health concerns. I went back and I looked at the video, and it looks like back in, I think, April, we had announced that there was supposed to be a mental health evaluation, but an order, we never sent in an order. And so Ms. Gross found it on a jail audit. I immediately went to go visit Mr. Duffy, and he's been medicated since he's been in the jail. And now, after speaking to him, both myself and Mr. Taylor believe that he is competent. He also has a pending VOP that's holding him here, aside from our case in Superior Court. So it's not that our case would have released him. So nevertheless, now that we believe that he is competent, we're ready to enter a plea. And I think Mr. Taylor had worked that out, but there are concerns, John.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
We intend to enter a plea to both counts. However, it's non-negotiated. We have not reached an agreement with the state, who are asking for a full 12 months to serve. Mr. Duffy's been in custody since January of this year. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but it's been close to 7 months, and we're asking for a sentence of 9 months, Your Honor, rather than 12 months. So an additional 3 months with credit for time served going back to January of this year.
All right. What is the plea that you all intend to enter for Mr. Duffy?
No, Your Honor, on both counts.
So, Mr. Duffy, how old are you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay. And do you understand where you are today?
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you?
I'm at Clayton County Courthouse.
Okay. So you understand that you have some charges that your attorneys are helping you deal with?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And they've explained to you that you're not entering a guilty plea, but you are asking the court to resolve your charges today?
Yes, ma'am.
So you understand that if you wanted to, you could take this matter to trial and have a trial on these offenses. You understand? Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
But instead, you're going to enter a plea saying that you're not contesting it, but that you're not entering a guilty plea.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any questions for me?
Do you have any questions for the judge?
I don't know, how much time do I have to serve?
Okay, we're going to work that out. That's what one of the things we're going to talk about. Have you been receiving your medication in the jail?
Yes, ma'am.
And you feel like your medication is helping with your issues?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. So by entering the NOLO plea, you're giving up the right to go to trial or to have a trial in these cases. You're also giving up the right to not say anything or not incriminate yourself. You give up the right to provide any evidence on your behalf. And you're giving up the right to be considered innocent because you're entering a plea of NOLO. And by doing so, the state doesn't have to prove the case against you. You and the state are going to agree about what happened. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. And are you a United States citizen, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you were born and raised here in the United States.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so this plea should not affect your immigration status in any way. All right, so do you understand what I've said to you, or do you have any questions for me? Yeah, do you understand first what I've said?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions for me?
Do you have any additional questions for the judge?
Or for us.
For us, either one.
I got a question for.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Initially, we had asked for 9 months because the VOP, he was told at his VOP that he might get 3 months, but we're going to change our ask to credit for time served on our charges here in state court because we would like it for that to be resolved by the time he gets to his VOP, that if they were to release him, there would be nothing else holding him at all, not even for 1 day. Your Honor, I don't believe that Mr. Duffy is a danger, considering the fact that he's been medicated. From the time that I've met him first to now, it's a complete 180. So Your Honor, I don't believe that he's a risk, but we would like to resolve this case in its entirety, including the time before his VOP if possible.
And he'll still be.
Okay, what's the VOP up for? What's the charge?
The VOP, Your Honor, Mr. Duffy had a felony sentence in probation for stealing a car. He served a year, I believe a year at Coastal, and then was out on probation. And this charge is the basis for the violation of probation. So once this is resolved, he'll go forward with his VOP hearing in Superior Court, where Mr. Duffy has told me that he's been informed they anticipate a 3-month sentence and then close that case. That's the reason why I initially asked for 3 months beyond what he's currently served. However, if they address his VOP and they give him less than 3 months, then that we do not want our sentence to hold him. However, it is possible that they may give him more than 3 months if he has longer than 3 months on his remaining balance.
Okay, what's the likelihood that because it's a theft case, but what's the likelihood that the VOP will include some form of mental health counseling, treatment, supervision, anything like that?
I haven't spoken to his attorney in Superior Court, Your Honor. I personally just met with Mr. Duffy yesterday to go over his case. Ms. Hahn, do you have any additional information?
No, Your Honor, I haven't spoken to his public defender.
Oh, okay. All right, so let me hear the facts of the case and the state's suggestion for the sentence.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about December 30th of 2023, Lieutenant X, as in X-Ray Todd, responded to 1544 South Lake Parkway, Suite 9G, located in Clayton County, Georgia. This is actually the Iceberg, I-C-E, B as in boy, E-R-G, health chiropractor. And the nature of the call was in reference to a public indecency. Upon Officer Todd's arrival, he met with the victim, Johanna, Johana, Cambrum, C as in cat, A-M, B as in boy, R-O-N, who advised that she is an employee of the business location. Ms. Cameron stated that while she was cleaning a chiropractor chair with her back turned away from the defendant standing before you, that is when the defendant pushed up against her buttocks, at which time she walked away. And when she turned around, she noticed that the defendant with his penis exposed. Officer Todd did speak with a witness who was identified as Dr. Meka, M-E-K-A, Kennedy, Kennedy, and she stated that she did notice the defendant acting strange, at which time she noticed him approach the victim and push up against her. The witness, Dr. Kennedy, stated that when she saw the victim walk away, she did notice the defendant turn around with his penis exposed. Officer Todd was able to review the surveillance footage, and he did notice the defendant in the treatment area with 4 females, including the victim. Officer Todd noticed that the defendant did take out his penis out of his pants and approach the victim and push up against her buttocks, at which time the victim walked away from the defendant. The defendant was actually arrested and charged for the charges before you. Your Honor, at this time, the state's recommendation for count 1 is 12 months to serve, and also for count 2, 12 months to serve to all 1 concurrent. Your Honor, we do ask that you not accept a NOLO plea simply because there are witnesses according to the report, and there is video footage that Officer Todd did see. So we do ask that you not accept the NOLO and that you do accept the state's recommendation. Thank you.
Additionally, Your Honor, the victim, I believe, is on and does wish to make a statement.
All right. Well, I would like to hear from the victim in this case.
Hello. So, yes, I agree with the assistant exfoliator. I think you should not get a.
Ms. Cameron?
Yes.
I gotta see you, ma'am, because
Okay.
I gotta swear you
turn
in.
on my now. Okay.
Okay, tell me what's going on.
Okay, so I do agree with the assistant exfoliator because I think you should not get a NOLO. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Okay. And Your Honor, I do have a question for the victim as well, if you
Yes.
don't mind.
Go ahead, Ms.
It's fine.
Hagler.
Thank you, Ms. Cameron. Do you know exactly where the defendant lives?
No.
You're not, okay. Thank you.
Ms. Cameron, so so the understanding that I have is that not to lessen what happened to you, not to say that he's not responsible for what happened to you, but my understanding is that Mr. Duffy has some mental health issues that he's been medicated for since that time. So the consideration on the table for the court is whether he spends the 7 months that he spent in jail and he still will remain in jail because he has another case that is going to be adjudicated by another judge. And I'm not sure when that will take place or what that other judge will do. But is there anything that you wanted to address about the fact that he's already been in jail for 7 months and potentially has the potential to be in jail for several more months?
So, if someone has a mental problem, they have to take medication. They cannot just walk around harming other people.
I got
See,
you.
if you go to the doctor, when you're born, the doctor checks you. You go to what's it called? He came to the chiropractic office. When patient first gets here, we ask them what's going on. We ask them about depression and if they're taking something for depression, anxiety, or anything like that. And if he has a mental problem, he should take his medicine. He cannot go around the whole world hurting someone and not hurting someone that do anything to him. I didn't do anything to him. I was just doing my job, and he came for about 7 visits, and I had a chance to talk to him, take him to each treatment, and he should have taken his medicine.
I understand.
If he could have done that, he could have not been in jail. But he shouldn't have harmed me.
You're right. And I hear exactly what you're saying. I'm sorry that you went through this and that you were a victim of this. And so I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on what's going on. So I got kind of two things that are on the table for consideration. And that is whether he will be able to enter a NOLO plea, or whether he will spend additional time in jail on this sentence. But because it's not negotiated, is there a history other than? I'm sorry, Ms. Cameron. Thank you for your response. Is there anything on his record from the state that would give me pause with respect to whether I give him additional time or whether I give him credit for time served?
Brown, let me do some research on that. And before I do that, do you mind if I ask Ms. Cameron one more question?
Sure, go ahead.
Ms. Cameron,
Is
she still on? Let's see.
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. If the defendant were to get out, do you have any fear of retaliation, or are you afraid of him?
I am afraid of him. I just never want to see him in my life, though.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so I can make it that he, as part of the sentence, that he does not come back to the location, or that he has no contact with you. And if those parts of his sentence were violated, then he would be able to be arrested for that. So I'm
let me do the research on the history. Give me 1 second, Your Honor, please.
Okay. Okay. All right. Just give me a moment. And Ms. Hagler, when you have that information, just let me know.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, I've completed my research.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so after review of the defendant's history, I do not see any other sexual misconduct. The only thing that did raise a concern, and I'm not sure if this has already been handled or not, but he does have a hijacking and aggravated assault on his history, which occurred in 2021. So I'm not sure if that case has already been addressed or not, but that was the only thing that stuck out to me. But he doesn't have any additional sexual misconduct, just those two. Again, aggravated assault and hijacking on May 13th of 2021.
Okay. All right. So this is what I'm going to do. The defendant will enter a plea of guilty, but I will allow him to have credit for time served for the 7 months that he served. He's to not go back to the location of the incident, the chiropractic office. He's to have no contact with Joanna Cambrone. See, that's about all I have, I think. Is there anything else I need to address?
Nothing from the state. So I guess if he's giving community time served, will the balance, we're just asking that the balance be probated in that case, Your Honor.
Well, he's already on a probated sentence, isn't that correct? Or parole sentence, which is
It's a probated sentence, Your Honor.
probated? Okay.
Yeah, I'll suspend, but as long as he, doesn't have any contact with Miss Cabron or go back to that location. If he were to do so, then the case could be brought back and he could be arrested.
Thank you, Judge.
Your Honor,
All right.
Mr. Duffy, he was at the location in legitimate business. So I've informed him that if he needs chiropractic care, he was involved in an auto accident. So if he needs additional chiropractic care, he cannot go to that location. He has to seek another chiropractic provider. So he understands fully that he cannot go back to that place. And to avoid any contact with Ms. Cabron, I don't believe there's, if he has no reason to go to the location, he will not have any contact. I don't anticipate that to be a problem.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Can I get the address of this location?
Can we get the
again?
address and name of the chiropractic office?
Yes, Your Honor. The name of the office is ICE, B as in boy, ERG, Health hyphen chiropractor. And then the address is 1544 South Lake Parkway, Suite, the number 9, G as in girl.
So, the address is wrong. It's not a G, it's an F.
Oh, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
So 9F as in Frank?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the correction. My apologies.
And what municipality?
Is this still Clayton County? What is the city?
Morrow.
Morrow. Okay.
All righty. Thank you, Ms. Wright. Thank you, Pegler and Ms. Hunt and Mr. Taylor. All right. Mr. Duffy's going to go back with the sheriff's office. Hold on just a second.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're ready to proceed. This is pretty good in this. Nobody's on. And ask the judge to give us the times for like 12 months for what's it, 40? 4 days. And suspend the balance.
Okay, who's next?
Your Honor, we have Mr. Ed McGork. Am I saying that correctly?
Mr. McGork, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true. Speak up for me.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. So you're before the court. Your attorney, Mr. Taz Taylor, is here with you on 2024 CR 05713 for criminal trespass. Mr. Taylor, what does Mr. McGork plead to the offense before the court?
Your Honor, Mr. McGork enters a no-low contendere plea. We have not reached an agreement with the state, so we are entering that plea non-negotiated.
All right. Mr. McGork, you're entering a plea non-negotiated, which means that I'm going to hear from the state regarding their recommendation, and I'm going to hear from your attorney regarding his recommendation before I reach a decision on the sentence in your case. By entering this plea, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to present testimony or evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, factual basis, please.
You're trying to give me 1 second. Let me get this file from Ms. Fuana. Give me 1 second, Your Honor.
My apologies, there was another call there. This is Mr. McGork.
Yes.
Every time he keeps coming.
So, Your Honor, on June the 10th of 2024, an officer was dispatched to 7037 Sir Gallad Way, Galahad, in Jonesboro, Georgia, where the incident occurred in Clayton County. The officer was dispatched due to an alarm that occurred at the residence. Once the officer arrived on scene, he observed the house appeared to be vacant as the windows and doors were boarded up. The officer did observe the garage was unsecured and observed a male, the defendant, to be later determined to be the defendant, asleep on the ground. At that time, the officers made contact with the defendant. And placed him in custody at that time. The officer then read the defendant's his Miranda rights. He did agree to speak with him. He explained that he did not reside in the location, and he had entered the vacant residence, trying to avoid being stuck in the rain. That concludes the facts, Your Honor.
All right, what's the recommendation? I know he's one of my frequent flyers.
Okay. I believe the recommendation was 12 months to serve, Your Honor. That's not mine, but.
Yeah.
And also, Your Honor, the victim is present and would like to provide a victim impact statement.
All right, and who's the homeowner in this case?
1 second, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, I just don't know who I'm so, okay, Ms. Davis. Ms. Davis, if you would unmute for me.
Yes, Your Honor. My name is Marilyn Davis, and I am the owner of the property there.
Okay.
And that is my residence, and my residence has been destroyed. And I was mandated by Clayton County to board up my residence because I work out of town frequently. And over the last 2 years, my home has been destroyed constantly. It's to the point where I can't even go to sleep after work because my alarm is constantly going off. I came home to my residence on June the 11th to find that my home had been destroyed. My garage was destroyed, even to the point where carpeting had been taken off my floor in my residence, and my kitchen sink had been taken out of my home.
Okay. Do you think that if the fact that the home is boarded up makes it an attractive, what we call an attractive nuisance, and that there are several people going in, or do you think that Mr. McGork was squatting? Do you have any evidence of any of that?
I don't have any true evidence of any of that. I just know that my home has, over the years, like I said, there's been people going in and out of my home. My home is boarded up basically because most of my windows have been torn out of my house over time. Yes, ma'am. And I've had to board my home up because of that fact. I have poured money into keeping up my residence, and my residence was intact up until about a month ago, which is like June 11th, 12th. Like I said, I just basically got a dumpster and took everything else out of my house that hadn't been destroyed, because my house has been basically just destroyed. So I just took it upon myself to take everything out of there. So there's minimal stuff in there because it's torn up anyway. It's not livable, period.
Okay. All right. What's the recommendation from the defense?
Your Honor, Mr. McGork has been in custody for 44 days. He was taken into custody on June 10th. We're asking for 12 months to serve 44 days with the balance suspended upon not returning back to the property that's owned by Ms. Davis. I don't think it was established that Ms. Davis is a resident. She referred to the property as her residence and her home. However, it's also been indicated that the location is vacant. I just want to.
Well, just the fact that she works out of town makes it no less her residence. She just may have a long-term assignment out of town. Doesn't mean she has moved to the other place. It's just that she's required to be there to complete her work assignment. A lot of people do that nowadays.
And the police report, it does not indicate that Mr. McGork entered her residence, just that he was present in her garage or on the property, the curtilage of the garage where he fell asleep. There's no indication from the police report, and no I guess testimony, for lack of a better word, from Ms. Davis that Mr. McGork actually caused any property damage on the date in question.
So I'm clear, because I've seen him a bunch of times, that Mr. McGork is chronically homeless. But I'm trying to balance the fact that we're talking about maxing him out to 12 months, and I don't even do that a lot with people who have been in violent situations, if there's an alternative, as opposed to 44 days when I know I'm going to see Mr. McGork again. It's very little likelihood that I'm not going to see him again. So from the state, what is the justification? And I know, Ms. Janvier, you said that this was not your recommendation, but is there a justification for the recommendation being the 12 months to serve?
Your Honor, I would believe that potentially the recommendation was based on the extensive criminal history of Mr. McGork. I believe that he has over 40 cycles.
All right. And
several probation violations. I'm sorry, several probation violations. And so I'm assuming that it was the thought that probation was not a good probation candidate. No. And then additionally, I'm going to go with the number of cycles he's had.
All right. All right. So at this time, Mr. McGork has entered a plea of nolo. The court is going to sentence him to 12 months to serve 120 days. Credit since lockup. Balance will be suspended as long as he does not go back to the location at Sir Galahad Way in Clayton County, and as long as he has no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia. All right. Mr. McGork, you can go back with the sheriff's office.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. Miss Davis, property is too important, and my heart goes out to you that you're trying to earn a living and you keep coming back to destruction. Not my call to tell you what to do. A management company might help, but I'm not sure if that's going to be something that would solve the problem. But at least you would have somebody to keep an eye on it more frequently, maybe, if you having to come back and forth.
Yes,
But,
ma'am.
all right, then.
I
Take care,
appreciate
ma'am.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Judge.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And be safe in your travels.
Thank
Okay?
you. Have a great day.
All right. You too.
Excuse
right.
me, Judge, were you allowing him a NOLO or is that a guilty?
I'll allow him the NOLO, but yeah, 12 months, 120 days to serve.
Thank you.
All right. All right. For the next case, so far we have Weaver and Mendoza and Cobb. So Cobb has 2 cases, Weaver has 1 case, and Mendoza has 1 case, I believe.
Mr. Weaver, come to my right, please. Yes, sir. All right. Your Honor, we're ready on Mr. Weaver's case.
Mr. Weaver? Can you hear me?
No.
All right. Raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. So, Mr. Weaver, you're before the court on case 2024 CR 05774 for public drunk, open container, and another count of open container. You're entering, you're represented by attorney Chelsea Hahn. Ms. Hahn, what is your client plea to the offenses before the court?
NOLO to count 1, Your Honor, and to count 3. Count 2 should be null cross.
All right, Mr. Weaver, by entering a plea of NOLO to counts 1 and 3, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your case against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to present evidence and testimony and to not incriminate yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
No.
Okay, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On June 26th of 2024, An officer was dispatched to 140 Irving, IRVIN Street in Jonesboro, Georgia, where the incident occurred in Clayton County. The officer observed the defendant, Mr. Weaver, sitting at the park in a drunken state with drug paraphernalia on his person. He was asked several times not to come to the park drinking, but was observed with the Colt 45 beers. This also was after park hours, and Mr. Weaver was taken into custody. That includes the facts, Your Honor.
All right. Recommendation?
The state is recommending for count 1, 12 months to serve 15 days. Credit for the time the defendant spent in custody, the balance to be suspended as long as he does not return to that location of, it was 140 Irvin, IRVIN Street in Jonesboro, Georgia. Count 2 would be no pros. Count 3 would be a 6 months to serve 15 days. Credit for the time defendant has spent in custody, the balance to be suspended. It would run concurrent with count 1.
All right. So, Mr. Weaver, I'm going to accept your plea of no to count 1 and 3. On count 1 is 12 months to serve 15 days. Credit for time served. Balance will be suspended as long as you do not go back to 140 Irving Street, Jonesboro, Georgia, in Clayton County. That's the location where you were arrested, okay? The count 3 will run concurrent with count 1, 6 months, 15 days to serve, a credit for time served, balance suspended as long as you have no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia and you do not go back to 140 Irving Street, Jonesboro, Georgia, Clayton County. All right, you can go back with the sheriff's office.
Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if did you all know, I don't know if it's on the calendar, Mr. Weaver had a second case from 2019.
I don't see it. But tell me the case number and the charges.
Yes, Your Honor, it's 2024 CR 05837.
Okay, and what are the charges?
It's jaywalking, Your Honor.
Can we just quickly know across that?
We could.
Oh, thank you so much.
We would not have an objection because Mr. Weaver does not remember that. And I think the accusation says he got hit by a car, and I think he would remember getting hit by a car. So.
Oh, Lord.
Is he free to go back with the deputy?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, who's next?
Thank you, Your Honor. We're bringing out Mr. Kyle Cobb next.
Okay.
Sometimes this goes down. She'll be up there, but you want to, when you're speaking to that camera so she can hear you. Thank you, Your Honor. This is Mr. Kyle Cobb, case 2024 CR 05725 and case 2024 CR 05726. Your Honor, Mr. Cobb has a pending matter in Superior Court that has not been arranged yet. We are asking our court for a 2 to 3 week continuance, whatever's good for the court, in order that we can see what is going to transpire with the charges in the Superior Court. And that's going to have an impact on how we proceed in the current case.
All right. Any objection to the continuance on Mr. Cobb's case?
No, Your Honor.
All right. All right. So once that's resolved, then we can put Mr. Cobb back on the calendar. Would we need a month, 2 months? What are we talking?
Less time, 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. So Ms. Val?
Yes, ma'am.
So Mr. Cobb has 2 cases and he wants, they're asking for a continuance of 2 to 3 weeks for his felony case to be resolved.
Okay, 3 weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, well, we'll get you on the calendar at that point.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, and the last case.
Your Honor?
Yes.
So I just noticed that Mr. Jose Mendoza is sitting in the courtroom. He is sitting in the back. He doesn't speak English, and he has come to court, even though he was on the jail calendar. So I can't communicate with him.
Well, we need to request an interpreter. They still around?
Right, Your Honor, I went outside to see who all was having court, to see if anybody was down here, but
no, let's just call them. Ms. Val, if you can see if one of the interpreters is available, we can go ahead and handle Mr. Mendoza's case.
Yes, ma'am. Judge, they're on their way.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Janvier?
Yes, Mr. Taylor.
Quick question, just Mr. Mendoza, can you
Yes.
tell me how long he served in custody?
I'm looking at first glance, it's saying since July 10th, but let me just double check that, okay? So I have from June the 9th until July 16th, which was about 37 days.
37 days.
Mhm.
Very good. I appreciate you looking that up for me.
Absolutely.
Your Honor, I have an announcement for Mr. Mendoza.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, Mr. Mendoza is going to be entering a plea of not guilty today.
Okay, just remind him of the bond conditions and he'll be free to go.
Yes, Your Honor, I will do so.
All right. Tell him if he needs to send money to the house, send it in the mail or Cash App it. That's it.
Yes, Your Honor, I believe this is I believe the alleged victim in the case is his next door neighbor, and so he'll stay away from his neighbor's property.
Yep, stay on your side of the fence.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, bye. All right, do we have anything else?
Your Honor, I don't believe so. I'm just double checking. Was the second case for Weaver no pros, Ms. Janvier, the jaywalking?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify, Your Honor, that the second Weaver case, the jaywalking was no pros. Ms. Janvier said yes.
Yeah, that's it. All right, is there anything else?
No, Your Honor, nothing else.
All righty, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. This went a little longer today, but we got it done. I appreciate your time and attention, and I'm still signing, so if there's something else. Also, if y'all get if we get a read on what's going on with bonds, even if he's out, because these are all traffic offenses. I mean, if he wants to come into court on on an appearance date, that's fine. But just figure out what happened so we don't have that cross up again, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Hagler. Thank you, Ms. Janvier.
You're welcome, Judge. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day, Your Honor.